Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, our politics panel on the blame game around Calgary's water main woes. But first, the impact of renewed relations.
We're building a web of new connections with China to create transformative opportunities for Canadian workers, build more stability, more certainty and prosperity on both sides of the Pacific.
The Prime Minister, in the wake of closing a deal with China's president on a 5-pillar strategic partnership that aims to remove trade barriers and forge new ties in areas ranging from energy to finance, while also significantly lowering tariffs on Canadian canola. And in return, concessions on a limited number of Chinese EVs landing on our shores. And joining us now, Gary Marr, President and CEO of the Canada West Foundation, a former MLA and cabinet minister, and of course a former representative for our province in Washington and in Asia. Mr. Marr, good to see you, sir. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, so how big of a shift in trade dynamics does this potentially represent? And could it set the stage for expanding trade alliances, trade blocs that will see more of the world moving away from the U.S.?
Well, let me say, first of all, that the relationship between Canada and China has always been one that has gone in cycles from wild optimism to the depths of despair. And I think that we would all agree that during the imprisonment of the two Michaels, that was the low point of Canadian-Chinese relationships. Having said that, this is a step in the right direction. I think the Prime Minister went into China eyes wide open, that he was looking to increase our economic opportunities without giving up anything on national security in Canada. And trade in commodities like canola or seafood products or energy are all areas that would provide economic opportunity for Canada without giving up anything on national security. The United States is the largest consumer of oil in the world at about 20 million barrels of oil a day. China is the number 2 at about 16 million barrels of oil a day. And our canola, which was hit with tariffs in response to tariffs on Chinese EVs put in by President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau, really was a very, very devastating impact on canola producers in Western Canada. Full credit goes to Premier Moe, who's been working on this relationship for some amount of time. It shows the importance that subnational governments can have in helping shape a national agenda, in this case, the deal signed by the Prime Minister with Xi Jinping.
How important was it to get this foothold in China before the Trump administration maybe makes a play?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because we do know that the president plans on going to China, I think, in March. We also know that other world leaders are planning on going there, notably Premier Lee of South Korea, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. All are trying to go in and make deals. The only criticism that I'd have of Prime Minister Carney's mission is that he didn't stop in South Korea and Japan first. It would have made sense for him to go there because those two countries have really bolstered their diplomatic missions here in Canada. They've come out and indicated that they want energy from Canada. They want to do more trade with Canada. It would have been stronger had the Prime Minister gone there before he went to Beijing. Nonetheless, it is what it is now, and I think that setting the tone with China, it was interesting to see President Trump saying, well, that's what leaders should be doing. If they can get a deal, that's great. So we don't know down the road what President Trump may retaliate in some way, shape, or form. We can't predict that with any certainty whatsoever. But so far, so good. The president hasn't indicated any negative blowback against Canada for doing this deal with China.
For obvious reasons, a lot of the focus on this trade mission was around canola. But as you've pointed out a couple of times, energy factors into this conversation as well. So, Gary, what kind of impact do you see that having on Alberta's push for another pipeline to the West Coast? Safe to say, negotiating this deal with China was already on the radar ahead of the PM and Premier Smith signing that MOU?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because if you look, for example, at where's the oil going that's in the Trans Mountain Expansion Pipeline, I think a lot of people expected when the TMX was up and running, it would be moving oil into refineries off the west coast of the United States. But in fact, most of it is going to China. And so I think that China, although it's going great guns on electric vehicles and such, they still need a lot of oil, not just for refining into diesel fuel or into gasoline, but also they need oil to provide inputs for manufacturing processes. So if you're going to make plastics, you need oil. And so I think that this probably strengthens the case for building additional pipeline capacity to go to the West Coast, or at the very least, increasing the capacity of the existing pipelines by putting in more compressor stations and pumping more oil through the existing infrastructure by running it at higher pressures at more frequent intervals.
The Trump administration's move on Venezuelan oil, how much does that stand to influence the push for a new West Coast pipeline?
Well, that's something that's hard to predict, but in the near term, I don't think that it's going to impact or displace Canadian oil that goes into the United States. There was a time when Venezuela produced millions of barrels of oil a day, and now they're down to about 1 million barrels of oil a day. It's a similar grade and quality to Western Canada Select, but they don't have the infrastructure within Venezuela to actually produce it. And so it will take billions of dollars of investment in that country to be able to build up their capacity. And I guess the economic case for oil companies is they have to ask, do we want to put more of that oil into the marketplace when the price is south of $60 a barrel? That's question number one. Question number two is, are we willing to put money into the infrastructure of Venezuela, not knowing what Venezuela might do, in a post-Maduro world? So is there sovereign certainty in Venezuela? I think at this time the answer would be no. So I think that if you look at the amount of oil that comes to the United States, Alberta moves about 4.5 million barrels of oil a day. That's significant compared to the 1 million total that Venezuela sends out. And they don't have any infrastructure to get that oil. Even if they do land it on the Gulf Coast, they don't have any infrastructure to get it up into the U.S. Midwest. Geography is Canada's advantage when it comes to moving oil into U.S. marketplaces.
All right, Mr. Marr, we'll have to leave it there for time. As always, appreciate your time. Thank you kindly for this, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
Gary Marr is president and CEO of the Canada West Foundation, former MLA and cabinet minister, and former representative for our province in Washington, D.C. and in Asia.